Hi everybody, it's Miss Austin. I'm going to be doing a lesson 3 practice problems. Triangle ADC is congruent to triangle EDF. So Kieran knows that there is a sequence of rigid motions that takes ABC to EDF. Select all true statements. So angle A coincides with angle F. I'm just going to look at the way it's written, right? Because there is a rigid motion, that means they're congruent, and they made the statement up here. So does A correspond to F? No, A corresponds to E. B coincides to D. B coincides to D. Yes. You could also trace and look at the shape. Segment AC, that's the first with the last, coincides with EF. Yep. Segment BC, that's those last two in here, coincides with ED. No, that's the first two. Last one, segment AB, that's the first two, coincides with ED, the first two, correct. So B, C, and E. Number 2, a rotation takes angle ACE. Actually, we skipped this one. Moving on. Number 3, the triangles are congruent. Which sequence of rigid motions will take triangle XYZ to triangle BCA? There's really no way to do this but to run through them. So I'm taking XYZ. No, I wrote on X1. Okay, let's try letter A. Translate XYZ using directed line segment YC. I'm going to slide from Y to C. Boom, I can still read under here. Rotate X prime, Y prime, Z prime. So this now, they're saying we've moved it. So these are all primes. Using C as the center, C's right under here, so that X prime coincides with B. Boom. All right. Finally, it says reflect X double prime. This is actually, they're calling this the second image, so they're putting double primes. Reflect across line CB, which is right here. Yep. Thank you, book. The first one worked. I only had to find one. Now, if that hadn't worked, then I would have went to the second one until I found one that worked. All right, number 4. Triangle HEF is the image of triangle FGH after a 180-degree rotation around point K. Select all that must be true. So again, because HEF is the image of this one after rotation, it means they're congruent. So I'm going to write this out for myself because sometimes just looking at the letters is helpful. HEF is congruent to FGH. How did I know? That's the way they said it. They're telling me which point corresponds to which point. All right, so it says triangle HGF. So this one, they're saying it in a different order. HGF is congruent to FEH. Are they saying it the same way? They reversed the order of this, and they reversed the order of this. Yes. Letter B, triangle GFH. GFH is congruent to EFH. EFH, hang on. The middle to the first, the middle to, nope, not in the same order. All right, now I'm going to go up to the shape. Angle KHE, so this one, is congruent to KHG. Now remember, they told us this was obtained by a rotation. So hopefully maybe you could visualize, right, what's going to happen when I rotate this on K? Is this angle going to be the same as that one? No, it lands over here. Angle GHK, okay, is congruent to EFK. That's that one right there. That's the one we just did. Yes. Segment EH, I'm going to go back to my letters. EH, that's these two, is congruent to GH. EH, it would have to say GF. No. Segment HG is congruent to segment FE. Yes. And finally, FH. This one's a little confusing because it doesn't really matter which one you use. So FH is congruent to HF, the first to the last. Yeah, it's that bottom piece. So you say it one way on the bottom one, but then it gets rotated. All right. So this one was A, D, F, G. All right. Number 5. Line SD is a line of symmetry. So this line right here is a line of symmetry for this huge shape. Tyler says that ASDPX is congruent to SMDZH because sides AS and MS are corresponding. Now, I will agree that these two are congruent and corresponding, but the order of the letters is important, right? So why is Tyler's congruent segment incorrect? Let's write it over here. He said ASDPX is congruent to SMDZH. So look, he does A, he starts out here, then he goes to this one, and then he goes down and follows it around. Look at this one. He starts here and goes to M, and then he cuts across to D. That's not in the correct order. He did not use corresponding parts. Write a congruent statement that would be correct. So I'm going to use the way Tyler wrote the first one. I'm going to go AS. Whoa. Holy guacamole. Garbage can just fell over. Okay, ASDPX is congruent. So if I go here, MSDZH. MSDZH. All right, number 6. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Select all statements that are a result of corresponding parts of congruent triangles being congruent. So we know ABC is congruent to DEF. They told us. Segment AC is congruent to EF. And you could look at the shape. You could also look at the letters. Look, AC would be to DF, not EF. BC, that's the last two, is congruent to EF. Yes. BAC, angle BAC, that's this angle, is congruent to EDF. So you can kind of tell here, how would we look at the letters? Let's see. BAC, so BAC is congruent to EDF. You see how they say the letters in the same way? Angle BCA, that's this angle, is congruent to angle EDF. That's the one from last time down here. No. Angle CBA, that's this guy, is congruent to FED. Let's look at the letters too. CBA reversed FED. B, C, and E. Number 7. When triangle ABC is reflected across AB, so they reflected this one right here across this line. The image is triangle ABD. Why is angle ACD congruent to angle ADB? My choices are corresponding parts of congruent figures are congruent parts of congruent figures are corresponding, segment AB is perpendicular bisector of DC, and isosceles triangle has a pair of congruent triangles. Well, first of all, because I did a rigid motion, I did a reflection, these two things are guaranteed to be congruent. So these two, 1 and 2, are congruent. So that means all corresponding parts of those two triangles are congruent. The corresponding parts of congruent figures are congruent. Number 8. Line DE, use a highlighter, is parallel to line BC. What is the measure of angle EAC? EAC. What is this one right here? Well, it might be hard to see it because it's a triangle, but if I extend this, this is a transversal. And these two are alternate interior. So if this is C, this is also going to be C degrees. I don't know what it is, but I do know it's going to be whatever the same as that. It will be the same as that, excuse me. Then it says, what is the measure of DAB? DAB. Now we're going to look at this transversal that's cutting through the yellow lines, right? And it wants this one right here. Well, these two are alternate interior. So this one is going to be the same as angle B, whatever that angle B is. All right, guys, I hope that helped. I'll see you soon.